We have been through a lot together over the years. 5 program directors, 3 station addresses, about a dozen businesses where we did remote shows.
Mm-hmm.
Some we like better than others. A whole lot of producers, and we appreciate those guys. We wrote a book together. We've been on TV together. We did a lot of signings and station functions. Most recently, I got to enjoy being with your family at your induction into the Maxwell Club Hall of Fame. And as I've said, we have done about 2,500 shows, pre-games, weekday fillers, these weekend shows, everything together. And in all that time, I don't think we ever got into a fight. Never. On the air or off the air. No serious argument. No major disagreement. No cursing at each other. We didn't always see everything alike or eye to eye, but we could always talk. We could always communicate, and we always had fun. There was never any tension. It would seem impossible to work with somebody for 2 decades and to be able to say that all of it was fun and that the guy, jeez, I don't want to do this, and that the guy you worked with was never a jackass. And I can say that, Ray, you have never been a jackass in 21 years, and I appreciate that. Working with you is working with a Hall of Famer, and we heard yesterday how respected you are for your balance and your brilliance and your moral bearing. I think we had 24 people, all really respected in this town, come to the station or call to offer testimony to the contribution that you have made over a half century. And I've always admired that. But more than that, I've just always liked you as a guy. As a friend. Listen, I am as awed by your resume as anybody, but I most appreciate you just for being able to jaw with you as a friend, to laugh, to make stupid bets. I appreciate that you let me tease you about not wearing shorts, or about never having a drink. Or you let me tease you about basically not being part of the 21st century world for the most part. Your greatness never precluded you from laughing at yourself a little bit. Ray, you are actually human, and the human side, a little self-deprecating, open, creative, sometimes capable of a dirty joke off the air. I love that, Ray. I love the way you treat people. We discussed that. Even when I have to pull you away from your fans, when we have to start a damn show, Ray. I love the way it takes you 5 minutes to sign with that Catholic school trained signature, even though at our book signings you tended to slow the line down to a standstill just so that you could perfectly dot that I in Didinger. Actually, I love the fact that I learned to pronounce Didinger later after we were working together. I love the stacks of papers and the newspaper clippings, and yes, the yellow legal pads that could all be reduced to one handheld electric device. That was just never going to happen. I love the show we created over these decades. I'm sticking around. I've been working with management on some ideas for the show. I expect, as I said, we'll have a few announcements within a week or two, and I'm looking forward to that. But this show has been special in my career. And, you know, radio isn't like other media. Books last for hundreds of years. I can go back and I can watch any movie ever made. And by the way, you could too if you'd learn to stream, but that's another story. TV reruns keep those shows and those characters immortal. But radio, I know WIP podcasts the shows. And you can find our Tell Us Your Story episodes if you search hard enough. But mostly radio is something that you say into a microphone and it goes out onto the airwaves and then it disappears. It's forgotten. But for me, this show, working all these years with you, I will never forget and it will never disappear. Ray, it has been my pleasure. Always enjoy the next step of the journey, my friend.
Well, thank you for that. Everything that you said certainly applies to me and our relationship and the pride that I feel along with you for what we built here. Because I think it was pretty damn good radio, and the fact that we were able to create it and sustain it for 21 years is something I'm really proud of. But most of all, I love the relationship that you and I have developed, and that will continue on, even though we won't be doing shows together. And but the best part is when you and I are together next time, we won't have to take commercial breaks. We won't have to. We won't necessarily have to talk about the Phillies unless we really want to. We can have the conversations that we really want to have, and I look forward to that. But I can't thank you enough for the friendship and the support that you've given me for these last 20 years, and it has been a real pleasure. This is I've written up. I kind of wanted to make sure I said what I wanted to say on the way out the door. I didn't want to be 5 steps out the front door and then smack myself on the head and say, why didn't I say that? So I sat down and I wrote this up. Fittingly, I wrote it up on a yellow legal tablet. So these are my final thoughts. Hopefully I'll be able to get through them. So bear with me. I still remember the day Sister Claire read my essay to her 5th grade class. When she finished reading, she looked up and she said, Mr. Didinger, you should be a writer. Well, I took Sister Claire's advice. I started writing. Through high school, through college, and through 53 years of newspaper columns, books, films, and now the stage play Tommy and Me, I've written thousands upon thousands of words, but never the word goodbye. Not until today. This is my final show on WIP. I'm retiring. I'm also retiring from NBC Sports Philadelphia. I'll miss it. I'll miss all of it. But I feel it's time for me to step aside. Many of you have reached out to say how much you'll miss me. Well, I'm going to miss you too. We had a special relationship. We formed an emotional connection that was deep and genuine. We shivered together at Franklin Field. We wept together at Connie Mack Stadium. We stood shoulder to shoulder on Broad Street when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup. And, of course, we celebrated the underdog triumph that was Super Bowl 52. You felt it. I felt it. As Philadelphians, we all felt it. And celebrating that day at the Art Museum, wrapped in a warming blanket of joy, is a memory I will carry with me forever. I worked with many great people, men I grew up reading, like Stan Hochman, Larry Merchant, and Sandy Grady. Men like Bill Campbell, Tom Brookshire, and Jack McKinney, whose voices I grew up listening to on my transistor radio. I spent a decade working for the great Steve Sable at NFL Films. I got to hear Oscar-winning actors like James Coburn and Gene Hackman give voice to my words. I never imagined I could be that lucky, but I was, and that's why it's hard now to walk away. At 75, it's time for family, time for travel, and time for being a fan again. I look forward to going to Eagles games now and cheering instead of critiquing. I'll miss hanging out with Michael Barkan, Seth Joyner, Barrett Brooks, and, of course, Governor Rendell. Great friends and great teammates. But this September, I'll go back to being the fan I used to be, and I look forward to that. One of the hardest parts of retiring is ending my partnership with this guy, my pal, Glenn Macnow. Over 21 years, we developed a rapport that was enjoyable for us and our listeners. We were the two old sports junkies who came in your house every weekend, put our feet up on the furniture, and talked about the DH, the process, and all things Eagles. We were talking to each other, but we were also talking to you. I didn't fully appreciate what that meant until the last 2 weeks when the cards and letters began pouring in. Many were from people I had never met, total strangers. Yet they said through my words and my voice, I became a part of their lives in ways I never imagined. Recently, a man stopped me on the street. He said he was born in Nigeria, and he moved to this country 3 years ago. He was building a new life in Philadelphia, and he wanted to feel like he belonged. A coworker told him it would be helpful if he learned American football. The coworker told him he should listen to this radio show and watch the Eagles postgame. The coworker told him that listening to Ray Didinger was the best way to learn the game. So the gentleman from Nigeria began listening and watching, and after 3 years, he was talking X's and O's like a third-generation season ticket holder. When I met him, he was wearing an Eagles hoodie. He addressed me as Ray Diddy, and he gave me a big hug. He said, "You taught me football, and you helped me become an American." Without even realizing it, I had helped this man find acceptance in his new home. I never imagined I could affect someone's life in such a profound way, but I did. I still get a lump in my throat when I think about that. Your cards and letters have made me realize what a special family we built here and how lucky I was to be a part of it. I'm leaving WIP, but I'm not leaving Philadelphia. This is my home. It will always be my home. So if you see an old guy in a St. James sweatshirt walking a bulldog through Rittenhouse Square, and you feel like talking about Jalen Hurts or Joel Embiid, don't be shy. Come over and say hello. I'll never tire of the conversation. In fact, I'll welcome it. In so many of your good wishes, you've thanked me for what I've given you. What I'll remember is what you've given me. For 53 years, you helped me live my dream. Your passion as the best sports city in America lifted my words and gave them resonance. It has been a joy and a privilege. Your expressions of gratitude and support have meant so much, and I thank you with all of my heart. I wish you and your families health, happiness, and more Super Bowl parades. And trust me, I will see you there.
Ray, for everyone at WIP, for every listener, for every fan, thank you, and be well, Ray Didinger.
94 WIP HD1 Philadelphia, live from the Tasty Cake Studios, your official home of the Eagles. Touchdown! Sports Radio 94 WIP, an Odyssey station.